There's been discussion for months now about the possibility Democrats would go in this direction. There had been calls from many Democrats. The House Speaker had been noticeably absent from those calls. Put in context what has played out in the last 24 to 36 hours and the likelihood that this now places Democrats on a collision course with actually voting to impeach the president.
Yeah, it's really remarkable because we've seen the Democrats all year basically slow walk and take their time looking for crevices that they can kind of work their way in on an investigation to get some more information than Robert Mueller had, for instance. It didn't end up proving what they hoped it might prove. And then suddenly, boom, just like that, the rocket fuel has been added and the missile has taken off. The Speaker managed to turn around in basically a matter of a few days and say, not only are we going to look at this, she said it was a betrayal of his constitutional oath. She didn't just say we're to look at it. In effect, she put her foot on the pedal and said that she's ready to go forward.
Well, this is from Politico tonight. Obviously, Nancy Pelosi coming out and endorsing an impeachment inquiry, that is new. This from a Politico report on it noted some of the attitudes from Democrats there in the House today. Lawmakers noted that she left them without a time frame for action, frustrating Democrats who had hoped her backing would include an urgent push to bring articles of impeachment to the House floor. No, I do not see structural changes, Rep. Val Demings of Florida, just one of three lawmakers who sits on both the Judiciary and Intelligence Committee, said. Robert Costa, it was striking, this particular story with Ukraine, apparently the justification for Nancy Pelosi making this decision today. But no select committee, no specific committee that's going to deal with this. Apparently no House vote on authorizing an impeachment inquiry. No clear timetable here. So procedurally, is there anything that's changed here?
Steve, I was at the Capitol all day talking to House Democrats, House Republicans, and members of the Senate. And they say so much on the impeachment front remains TBD, and that as much as Speaker Pelosi said today she was opening an impeachment inquiry and she's willing to pursue those steps, the details are still going to be worked out by the House Democrats in the weeks to come. What happened was so many House Democrats came to the Speaker and said, this has reached the threshold for impeachment. We need you to make a statement. We need House Democrats to make a formal statement. So politically, she was showing solidarity with them while letting the committees in the coming days and weeks still work out the exact process.
Well, in terms of that process, then, Alexi, and in terms of Democrats' commitment to not just open an inquiry, but potentially bring articles of impeachment, have a debate on the House floor, have some kind of a vote on impeachment if it were to come to that. How much now, in terms of their political thinking on this, their strategic thinking on this, how much is going to depend on what happens when that transcript is released tomorrow? Apparently what happens when the whistleblower's complaint is heard, maybe the whistleblower, him or herself, is heard from. How much of that is going to dictate whether this is something that leads ultimately to Democrats having some kind of a vote here?
I think those are the most important things that will dictate whether or not that happens. The transcript, of course, is helpful, but Democrats themselves have said that's simply not enough. They want the full whistleblower complaint and report so they can have all the facts. They want to hear from the acting DNI director, as that clip from Representative Adam Schiff you played earlier, he said as much. He wants to talk to them to figure out what's been going on. And I think that hearing from the whistleblower himself or herself, both in the House and the Senate committees, which the whistleblower's lawyer has said as much, that he or she wants to talk to both committees, I think that will really help Democrats decide the severity of the situation and really figure out their political calculus moving forward. Because right now, as it stands, as you mentioned, they don't just not have a timeline, but there's enough wiggle room for Donald Trump to continue spinning this and for Rudy Giuliani and Republicans in his corner to continue spinning this. He tweeted as much today, saying they haven't even seen the transcript. How are they calling for impeachment? This is, of course, presidential harassment and a witch hunt. So I think those will be really critical to their next steps moving forward. And for whatever it's worth, Congresswoman Maxine Waters was on MSNBC earlier tonight. She didn't have a clear timeline to give the network when she was giving the interview, but she said very quickly, multiple times. So who knows how quickly that will be.
Well, Jeremy Bash, we mentioned you have a background. We talk about these 6 House committees now that have been working on Trump investigations that are going to be part of this broad process that Nancy Pelosi initiated today. In terms of pursuing an investigation into this Ukraine matter, how is that going to work if there's not one clear committee that's been deputized, that's been designated here, that this is basically 6 committees being told to continue working? How will that work functionally?
Well, first, Steve, I think it's important to take a step back and note that this is the most significant, most consequential impeachment in our history, because never before has an impeachment inquiry actually dealt with foreign interference in the United States election and never before dealt with a national security issue in which arguably the security interests of the United States have been compromised. If you look at the other two impeachment situations in our history, they were on much more prosaic, mundane issues. That's point number one. I think point number two is that this is a much more severe and significant issue than even the Russian situation that was exposed last year relating to the 2016 campaign. Because in this case, the president directly had a conversation with the foreign head of state, which wasn't exactly clear that it happened in the Russian situation. And moreover, because he is president, he actually had things that the United States government has to offer in return for that political support. And that's apparently exactly what happened.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.